mwaramutse neza nyakubahwa perezida wa repubulika. Amazina yanjye ni Yusuf Ntwari, nkaba nishimiye kuba umusangiza w'amagambo muri iki kiganiro. Nyakubahwa, murakoze kuba mwaduhaye umwanya wo kutuganiriza kuri uyu munsi, aho twateraniye aha ku Murindi habereye amateka akomeye ya RPA na RPF. Tukaba twaje turi urubyiruko, twese cyangwa se benshi muri twebwe dukoresha imbuga nkoranyambaga nk'umwuga cyangwa se mu kwamamaza ibikorwa bigiye bitandukanye dukora. Tukaba tunazi yuko social media ikibazo cya mbere nakibaza nkoresheje ururimi rw'icyongereza. 30 years ago, you were exactly here. 36 years old, probably younger than a few people in this audience, maybe not me, but a few people here. Outnumbered significantly, facing a reality that hundreds of thousands of people's lives, including some of your relatives, were at stake. Mr. President, take us back a little bit. We want to understand, what was your state of mind in that specific moment when you gave the order that started the campaign to fight against the genocide against the Tutsis? Thank you.
First of all, let me thank you for this moment. Much as going back in time sometimes is very difficult. At least on my part, I wish I could forget completely some of those things or days, but anyway, that is life. So what you've just said is very true. We're here. We have now recollected, have the picture of literally have a map of this place fixed somewhere in my mind. It can't go away. More so, what can't go away is what was happening in our country and what was facing us and we had to deal with. You know, I speak from my understanding. When you are faced with a situation like that was at the time, there are few things that come to your mind, and there are few choices. Either you face what it is, however difficult it is, and invest everything in you to deal with that, or you break down and run away. There is really nothing in between. Either you do something and or don't do it, and the consequences either way are very obvious. But at that time, sometimes it is not obvious. You only come to think about it later. So from the beginning, when the struggle started, we understood the magnitude, the weight we have to carry in doing what we are trying to do and achieving what we had in mind. We never underestimated, but it turned out to be even much bigger, much more complicated than anyone could have thought. But still, we were there, so you had to deal with it the way it happened. So what was it that was in the mind? You don't want to go too far ahead of yourself, because if you do that, you probably will make a mistake, because either you are thinking about defeat or thinking about victory, which has not happened. And if you thought of one, if you are sure you are going to succeed, it may end up actually being a failure. Or if you think you have already failed, that means you're not going to try as much as you could have, and you may actually end up with a failure when it could have been different, when you could have succeeded if you tried everything you could. So here, this is the place where so many things happen. First of all, taking this place and occupying it and turning it into headquarters for the RPF and the RPA combined must have happened in 1992, I think, around April maybe, if I remember, or towards that, because the RPA was involved in the fighting along the border, and we hadn't taken much of the territory inside Rwanda. We were really surviving along the border between Rwanda and Uganda, where some of us had come from. And so the RPF, meaning the chairman, the commissioners, were not part of the fighting force. We are staying in different parts. In fact, we had the headquarters in Brussels, Belgium, but we also had another in Kampala, Uganda. That's where it all started. And then sub-headquarters in different parts of the world. So when we took this place, we were able to bring the two closer together, or really together, the RPA and the RPF. And this became our headquarters after taking, because, you know, a little bit of history. When the war started, 1990, I was, before that, I was serving in the Ugandan army and so on and so forth. Most of us were, or a number of us. And when the war started, I was not anywhere near here. I was attending a military course in Kansas, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, Command and General Staff College. Yeah, but I had now to work my way back to be here with the rest. So when I came, I found chaos. Because the first leader of our struggle had been killed on the second day of the attack, Fred Rwigema. And so understandably, it was already a difficult situation. Then an organization loses a leader, and what follows is easy to understand. So when I came back in the first 2 weeks of October, I arrived back from the US and came and joined the others and tried to reorganize, and so that's when we reorganized and started fighting in a more organized manner because of that chaos I'm talking about that happened when we lost the leader who had led the struggle. So that's trying to cut things short so that it is not a too long a story, but so that's how, all the way from then that chaos came 90 past, 91, and then 92 we found ourselves here and what I was just narrating happened. And it happened after we had taken places around here. In fact, that was specifically after attacking Byumba, Gicumbi. Now we are going to have a meeting. There were government forces of the time, and there were also forces deployed here in different paths. So we planned and moved from the east because we were more towards Nyagatare and in between we were trying to survive. So we organized and attacked a number of government enemy positions around, including the one here, which happened after actually taking Byumba, then Gicumbi and different other parts. We did by bypassing their positions and actually attacked them from the back. We went through the enemy deployments, cut through, and those who were here didn't know we had attacked Byumba then. And the others, in a place called Rukomo and other places, Bungwe, and I don't know whether they still bear those names. I haven't followed over it, but so then we took this place because our positions were now far ahead, so this was more or less protected, and that's why we turned it. We had the headquarters. It was making it easy for us because from here to the border, I think, is about 30 kilometers, maybe, something like that. So we would operate going forward and spread wherever we needed to. But at the same time, we had access to the border with Uganda, and that's how most of the time we used to get food and medical supplies and other things we needed. So it was easy, this position was easy to connect us with the world, but to connect us with the country, and enabled us to carry out the operations we had to carry out. So we grew from here quite fast. And yeah, so that is a number of things. It was coordinating from the east, but also that north now is when we were in Virunga. So it was like this. So we are here and we used to coordinate. So what was in my mind when it came to the time, there came a time there were peace negotiations and in Arusha, and then it failed, and I remember in 1993, was it 93, February 8th, I think, the Arusha peace negotiations failed, and because the government had started killing people in Kibirira, or started killing Bagogwe in those areas, and we told them we can't be here talking peace and then they kill people again, so that means we are going to fight again. And so the negotiations failed in 92. They stopped because of that, and they resumed fighting. In fact, that's when we took now a much bigger territory than we even had when we resumed fighting later on. We spread, and so from 93 February, we had, because of ceasefire and in peace negotiations, we got an opportunity and trained fighters, and they were ready for the next task, meaning when the ceasefire broke, then we resumed fighting. We took, you heard of, there used to be a demilitarized zone that you have heard about. When we fought, took a territory, then there was a global outcry and everybody was descending on us, and they thought we were going to take Kigali actually. But I don't think, much as we could easily have militarily from the operational point of view, we would have easily taken Kigali, but I thought politically it would be a big mistake, and that's why I prevailed over. There was the urgency for people to say, well, let's finish the job, but I thought it wasn't going to, the job wasn't to get finished, because in a way we would be overstretched, then we are taking on something much bigger than we can handle, organizing the country, but still the forces they were being defeated here, but as the government was still established, they still had forces. I think we would have faced bigger problems than people thought. So, but when you were being told we must go back so that peace talks continue, resume, and continue, in the end we put a demand which we would not relinquish. We demanded that for the areas we have taken a big part of the country as a result of breaking the ceasefire by government and so on and so forth, we cannot return this area or these positions to the government. They've lost that, and they've lost it because of their own big mistake. So we compromised to make things simple for everybody. We actually gave in to some demands, but created a formula that would allow us to take it. We said, if we leave this place, it should be demilitarized, and maybe UN, or there was also at the time some African Union observers who were here, and said they should monitor this area. The government should stay where we pushed it to, and for us, we have no problem going back to our positions. And this area in between remains a demilitarized zone. But we had already registered a huge victory. We were able to connect with the people in the country, to a great extent. It put pressure on the government because they really got a very bad beating, and they were now open to more serious discussion. And that's what. So everything was being coordinated now from here, from Murindi. So when it came the genocide, even before that, we used to monitor everything happening. We used to monitor militias being trained in there are hundreds of thousands in every district, as we have them now. And the plans would leak. We had people who would tell us, and we used to share it with the UN, the forces that were present here in the country, and we found actually they knew a lot about what the preparations were, by whom, where, and for what intention. They knew. When you hear people talk about genocide and as if it was something that just happened or happened because of Habyarimana's death or this and that, it's all rubbish. This happened way before. In fact, General Darel, the commander of the UN forces, used to come here many times. He would come by helicopter or by road many times. There are so many visitors who used to come here, even from outside of Rwanda, and we used to share this information. We used to discuss it. We would give them information you have, give them evidence, give them, and sometimes we would find they already know. So, yeah, there's a particular question you raised, what the feeling was when things were happening, including when genocide started. You know, it is hard to go back and tell people what you are thinking. Honestly, I don't even remember some of the things I was thinking. Things were happening so fast, and it was so stressful, and I spent more time and energy trying to stabilize myself so that I don't collapse under the weight of everything. But focused on saying, first, if it is fighting, we must fight to win. If it is even politics, we must do the right thing politically, still make progress. And then when the genocide started, the immediate thing was to fight the people who were killing. Second, try and save as many people as we could, if it were possible, but same time collapsing the government that was responsible for that. While we had many people, there's not a person even here, I'm sure among you, there's not a person here who doesn't have a number of people who were killed that were known to them, were relatives, were parents, were children, were things like that. And by the way, it is because I've asked many times. You see, in a situation like ours, genocide is happening. There are perpetrators, there are victims. But overall, there is nobody who is not dying on either side. You are killing people, in a genocide, you are therefore going for those you are targeting. But at the same time, those who are doing the killing of other people were also facing death because we had to fight them. So in the end, nobody, there's not a single person of the millions here in Rwanda who would say they gained from this. Everybody lost. Even those who started it and started killing people, they wanted to achieve something, but they didn't achieve it. Because what they intended to achieve was not just killing a few. They wanted to exterminate people. A certain group of people, they thought deserved that, or they wanted to kill. So it didn't happen because not everybody died. There is always going to be people who will remain alive. And so I think that's what else you want me to tell you?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Ask me anything, yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the context. Yes, I'm sure there's a lot of questions from the crowd, so I'll open it up to the floor. Please raise your hand if you have a question, and before you ask your question, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit of who you are, and then address your question. Try to be as concise as possible. Scovia?
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Scovia Mutesi, ndi umwanditsi w'ikinyamakuru Mama urwa Gasabo.
I see you every day on the media, social media. On the social media, yeah.
Yeah. Murakoze, ikibazo cyanjye nashakaga kubaza, usobanuye byinshi bigaragara inzira yari ikomeye, ariko nagize ikibazo nifuza kubaza, ese musobanura mute impamvu mwari mufite ikomeye yumvaga ko mushobora gutsinda ubutegetsi bwa Habyarimana bwari bufite ingabo zikomeye ndetse bashyigikiwe n'amahanga, mu by'ukuri yumvikanaga nkakomeye. Nyuma yaho uyu mukanya tugeza aha General Kabarebe yadusobanuriye uko mwageraga mu Mutara, uko mwasanze bimeze ko byasaga nk'ibiteye ubwoba, impamvu ikomeye mwagize mukumva ko muri butsindira urugamba kugeza uyu munsi nyuma y'imyaka 30 mwicayeho. Ndabashimiye.
Ndakubwiza ukuri, ntabwo ari science ngo muri science nararebaga nkasanga turi butsinde, cyangwa ntabwo ari, it's not anything, ntabwo nta kintu cyari gihari twemezaga ko turi butsinde kirenze umutima wacu kuvuga ngo natsinda ntatsinda ngomba kurwanira ukuri kwanjye. Nicyo umuntu yashingiyeho, ibisigaye bikubakira aho ngaho. Ntabwo rero ntawari ufite icyizere ngo ibintu bigomba kugenda bityo, kuko na bimwe uko abantu babitekerezaga cyangwa babyifuzaga bigomba kugenda siko byagenze. Kuri bimwe hirya no hino, ariko ibyo mvuga yo kuvuga ngo twari ahantu uvuga uti bya bintu natangiriyeho, ngira ngo wenda nabivuze mu Cyongereza mbivuga mu Kinyarwanda, aho uvuga uti ariko aho ndi ibindi imbere ngomba guhangana nabyo. Mfite uburyo bungana iki kugira ngo nkore kimwe cyangwa nkore ikindi, ariko ukaba ufite ibintu bibiri gusa, kuvuga ngo either ndabihunga nigendere nkiza amagara yanjye, kuko hari ababikoze barahunga barigendera babivamo, n'ubu barakiruka ntibaragaruka. Ibyo babikora. Ikindi ni ukuvuga ngo oya, ntabwo ndi bugenze, ibyo narwaniraga n'ubundi ni ukuri kwanjye, ngomba kubikomeza ni nabizera mbizire. Ni ibintu bibiri rero, yeza urahunga cyangwa urasigara uhangane n'ikibazo. Ibi byo guhangana n'ikibazo byari mu bantu benshi, nicyo cyiza cyabyo, byari mu banyarwanda benshi, ntabwo bari bake. Abahunze ngira ngo nibo bake kurusha abasigaye bahanganye n'ibibazo. Muri uko guhangana rero n'ibibazo nyine ugomba gukoresha rero ubwenge, noneho gukoresha ubwenge. Ese uhangana n'ibibazo ute? Guhitamo inzira uhangana nabyo nayo noneho niho hazira gukoresha umutima n'ubwenge, bikaguha icyo gukora bitewe n'icyo ufite, n'icyo uzi ku mwanzi, n'uburyo bwo gukoresha kugira ngo utsinde ari urugamba rumwe hano cyangwa ahandi, cyangwa utsinde urugamba runini rwo kurangiza ikibazo cyose. Nta kindi cyizere, nta kintu cyari gihari cyaha umuntu uwo ari we wese. Yewe n'abatsinzwe banza batari bazi ko bazatsindwa, babaga bazi ko ni leta, bafite ibyangombwa byose, bumvaga bari aho. Twebwe bitaga inyenzi, bazatunyura hejuru gusa bakagenda. Natwe kubera aho twavaga nuko twari tumeze n'ubushobozi butari buhagije twari dufite, usibye uwo mutima wo gukora ibyo ushaka gukora, warabikoraga, ariko nta garanti, nta kintu cyakwemezaga ngo ibyo urwanira uzabigeraho. Ariko wagomba kurwana anyway, kuko nicyo wahisemo kandi niyo inzira yari iri imbere yawe warebaga wakoresha gusa. So ntazagira ukubeshya ngo ibyo twita intsinzi ngo barayirebaga. Barayirwaniye bayigeraho, ariko kuba warayirebaga iza ibyo bizavugwa n'utari uhari.
Yes, dufite ikindi kibazo, adufasha na microphone kuri Eric yashize ukuboko kare.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. My name is Eric. We just had a great visit of the site that was your military base, and it was a great visit. And then I went on to revisit one of the oldest video, but the famous one, where you were addressing your force, I think back in 1990. You told them in Swahili, how we quote, jeshi hili litakuwa msingi wa mabadiliko. And then he went on to tell them, sasa ndiyo maana matendo yetu yanapaswa kuwa tofauti na yale ya wale tunapigana nao. For me, these were super great values of RPA. So my question is, how could you envision unity and integrity, knowing you were not even allowed in your country, even coming to visit your friends and family, you could sneak in. And then we also had that, not here, I think I will need to fact check this, that some of the Habyarimana forces that were wounded during war, some of them were treated here. And then where did these values come from, and how do they remain the foundational values of RPF today? Thank you so much.
Yeah, societies, anywhere, or people, whatever, have values, certain beliefs, what they think is the right thing to believe in. And then, so Rwandans have values, there's no question about it. In fact, that to an extent explains the problem the world has. In the world, there are some people in some parts of the world who think they are the only ones who have values, and their values must be conformed to by others, which I personally feel insulted by and could not accept, can't accept it. It is not true. There are no people with better values than others. And better, how do you measure that? Better in what sense? So, with the Rwandan values, and even with the effort to try and integrate the values, your own values, with other people's values, so that it is broadened, or you look at it in a global context the way it should be. The governance of the country, the politics of the country, ordinarily should reflect the values of that society. So for a long time, in Rwanda, we had our own values even before. Then colonialism, okay, we can talk about that briefly, brought their own values, then gave or distorted the values of Rwandans, and unfortunately Rwandans came to accept the distorted values as their own. What do I mean here? Having a country that is divided on ethnic basis isn't part of the values we should be, we should espouse. We shouldn't. But that's what happened. So the RPF, the origin of it, much as it is problems that had happened to some Rwandans, not only those living in the country, but especially those outside as refugees. For things to go back to the right order, the politics must be bringing back the unity of the country, so that we are no longer ethnic groups, but rather the integration of that into or by national unity. So that's really how RPF was born. It's the foundation of RPF. So what I was saying to the fighters at that time is clearly narrating to them the story of who we are, or rather reminding them, because I think everyone knew, but people don't always do things based on what they know they should be doing. So I was just reminding them, or I was telling them that this struggle has a meaning. It's not just fighting and you kill, they kill, and and you take over. Even if you take over an authority, or you are into government, you are there, you should be there for a purpose. It's not just taking over. It's there for a purpose. So that's what I was, and I knew that, of course, even as now it still is, even the RDF that transitioned from the RPA into the current defense force we have, is the center, or the center of gravity here of what we are doing in the country, or the country, what it is, whether it is security, stability, socio-economic development, and so on and so forth. That message, and which they all understood, still plays part in what we are doing today, or who we are today, or what we want to be in the future. Is that differentiation between those who were fighting that later on committed genocide, or some of them had done so actually in many other, you remember this genocides of 60s, of 70s. So I was saying we are there, we are fighting for a cause that will change all that and create Rwanda to be what it should be. So that is even the message today, even tomorrow. Well, if we can fail to achieve it, but it remains, it stays the message. It is what should be driving us, even politics we are doing, even the elections we are preparing for tomorrow, and the campaign is here running up and down. I'm not running up and down for nothing. I'm running up and down for that message. To represent it and put it where it belongs and give it the results it should have.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. More questions? Joel?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, Paul Kagame. So my question goes, first of all, my name is Tikunde Joel. I'm a content creator and a proud first-time voter. My question is, your name is...
So when you were here, you probably were not yet born.
Yes. And I'm glad to be voting for the first time.
All right.
So my question is, your name is one that is known for intentional leadership, but today would like to know, how do you take care of Paul Kagame beyond the official roles that you play?
Sorry, let me get your question again.
Yes, your name is one that is known for intentional leadership.
Yeah.
How do you take care of Paul Kagame beyond the official roles that you play?
Okay. Let me tell you just off, this place where we are, actually, let me tell you something. I don't know if it is necessary. When I was at the Command and General Staff College in the US, I went it is going to turn out to be a long story maybe, but you know how I went there also? First, it was not me supposed to be going for that course. I was supposed to be going for a course somewhere else. The one who was supposed to be going to the US was Fred Rwigema to attend that course. Even when I arrived at the course, I had to change the documents. Everything was recorded in Fred Rwigema's name. So we had to change all that into my names. But what happened, maybe I'm sure many of you don't know, when we started organizing in Uganda to actually do what the Ugandans got to know about it, we were doing it discreetly. And even encouraging Rwandans to join the army and inviting some from different other parts of the world to come and join and be with us. And because that time it was easy to join the army in Uganda, they had many groups fighting, so we filled the space. And some of us had had the opportunity of being part of the struggle from the beginning, and we are so organizing and bringing people in. So the Ugandan system wanted to disorganize us so that we don't remain planning and doing what we wanted to do. So they wanted to send the top 3 of us, no, 4, scatter us outside Uganda to go and attend courses while we, in the meantime, we get disorganized. So Fred Rwigema was supposed to go to the US. I was supposed to go to Nigeria. Bunyenyezi, you have heard of Bunyenyezi. Chris Bunyenyezi was supposed to be sent to some other place. Bayingana was supposed to be sent to Russia. So when we got to know about it, I talked with Fred, and I told him I'm the one who insisted and encouraged him not to actually go anywhere, because that will just mess all of us up. He was our leader. Then he said, if you go, that means postponing it for another 5 years or something. So we agreed. He's actually going to decline, and we tried to create a story of he would tell the authorities so that they understand he's not just objecting to going. And so he went back to the authorities, told them, and of course there was a bit of trouble. It was not well received. So I think the one who was told that he's not going and so on and so forth must have connected and said, you see, these people are up to something. Then they said, okay, since you are rejecting it, then Kagame must go. So it was going to be either him or me, so that still they maintain that thing they wanted to. I'm sure they are warning you for time, but let me say we are in charge of time here. Don't worry. So he declined, and they sent me, as if to say, okay, if you are going to go, then this one will go, because they never wanted us together. They thought if they got rid of one, they would just create problems for the other. So then they called me up and said, so you Fred was going, now he has problems, he's not going, so you should be the one to go. I said, I have no problem. So I went back and told Fred, I said, you see, now they think they have known our plans. So if I decline, they may actually put us in jail, both of us. So to survive this and continue our plans, you stay and do what we have been trying to do. And for me, I will go. But when things start, I'll anyway find my way back easily. I don't need any permission from anybody. So that's what happened. When I went for a course, blah, 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 long story short. So later on, my wife, we had just been married. She's here. They must have thrown me out of the honeymoon and, and just and sent to the course. So but she found me there a few months later, but and that time I'm trying to arrive at a quick thing here, and trying to separate the two Kagames, and probably I'm 3 or 4, I don't know. But when she found me there, she was already pregnant with her first son, Ivan. And when the point I'm arriving at in 93, actually in 94, just before genocide, he was 3 years old. He was sent to me. I stayed with him in this house somewhere. Is it up here? Yeah, it's up here. I stayed with him for a few, maybe a week or less. In fact, when when Habyarimana crashed in the plane, he was here with me. The boy was here with me. And we were, the news came, we were watching football. Where? In one of these houses. Well, yes. There was an Africa Cup tournament. I remember it was Senegal playing Cameroon, I think, when we were watching here. And somebody came with a message to me that Habyarimana's plane had crashed, and there is chaos in Kigali, and so on and so forth. So what follows a different issue. But he was here with me. Now, you can see he was here with me not as a soldier, not as anything, but just as part of the family. So I was trying to reduce the amount of stress I had accumulated by having my son around. Something else funny that happened when, of course, I said he was here when the chaos started. In fact, I left him here and went with the forces that were going to Miove. That was Miove. And so I sent a message back. I told the people who had stayed here, I said they should quickly take this kid back across the border and take him back to his mother. You won't believe it, he refused. He refused, he cried, he said, no, you must see me first. He was like, where is my father? Where is he? He refused that day, and the next day we were very busy out there. So I had to drive and walk back that, like on the second day, to come and convince him to go. Yeah, so I told the commanders I was with, where the forces were, that they give me just a few moments. I first go and solve a personal problem. So I had to come back. Actually, that time it was very dangerous because there was still some forces in between, and we had. At night, I tried to drive. I had a Land Rover. I tried to drive, but we were using indicators. You couldn't put on lights because we would easily have. So some places we would walk, others I would drive. Then I came back, arrived here around 4:30 in the morning, and stayed up until he was sleeping until he woke up. And so I told him, you know, your mother wants you, you have to go. It seems he was happy where he was staying. He wasn't. So I had to convince him. I literally forced him, gave them somebody who took him to the border, and then I went back immediately. I didn't even rest time. I had to go back and in the forces. So I'm just trying to bring in the official me and the personal me. I thought maybe there wouldn't be a better place or thing to explain it than that story. So we had to keep one part is family, another part is work, and another part I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. With your permission, we'll take 2 last questions.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe with a bonus of 3, if they could make it short, then.
Yes. Lionel, please, can you help us with the microphone?
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Lionel Nditabirie. I work at the Pan-African Review. 30 years ago, you were already the target of criticism coming from beyond the borders of Rwanda.
When 30 years ago?
Yeah.
I'm still taking this criticism even now.
Yes, that was my question. Like, what was it then, and what is it now that is driving that criticism, and what can the new generation of Rwanda learn from the way you handled it?
Well, it's hard to tell, but also not. I shouldn't exaggerate. It isn't too difficult. Is there anybody in the world who would not be criticized, or who is not criticized at one time or another? I don't think. And it depends on the interests, or even the views of those who are criticizing you, about you, their views, their whatever interests, or if you. But it also means you are actually somebody. If you have to be criticized, somebody who is nobody want to be criticized because they're criticizing you for something that in one way they associate with, but would want it different. That is one possibility. The other is what either you are thinking, or your actions, or you are a danger to them. In other words, it's like they deprive them of something. For example, if if we two of us, I'm telling you, say, you know what, let's do this, or you are telling me, let's do this, so that we are not dependent on the other one. And the other one actually wants you to be dependent on them. They will not be happy that you are trying to be independent. So they will attack you for wanting to be independent, because they don't want you to be independent from them. And there are many tactics, there are many ways of doing that. They may not tell you directly that, because it looks ridiculous that they are attacking you for wanting to be independent. So they just find ways of creating a bad name for you, so that works against you, and it's not seen that they are the ones working against you. What is working against you is is what they have created about you, the image. They make it look happen like that, and absolves them the responsibility of attacking you or criticizing you. So it's like, you see, it's like that. You know, at a higher level, like in our case, you know, there are, we touched a bit of history and said, you know, what has been happening in Rwanda. Let's talk about genocide alone. It happened because the country was divided. You know, the colonial times brought in the kind of politics and shaped Rwanda like that and so on. And then, anyway, ultimately genocide happened. So when you tell the story, actually the way it was, from colonialism and then up to the time of genocide, those who are responsible for the colonial times don't like it. And when you say they are associated with the genocide or the cause of it, they are not happy with you. Now, simple thing, for example, one of the things they do, and a simple one, they want to keep attacking you like you are a violator of human rights, you know, no freedoms, no democracy, blah, 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 blah. By doing that, it's like they are saying, you see, what happened in Rwanda actually is not anything to do with the outside. Rwandans have been killing each other. You see, the genocide was this. Killing this. So, and then they turn, that's the story of turning the victim into a perpetrator. You have seen how many times they are out there saying, accusing RDF, accusing Rwanda, you know, the security. I was reading something the other day saying, you know, you have seen this consortium of journalists, what they are saying, that Rwanda has spies all over the world, killing their opponents, you know, everywhere, in the whole world. So it's like they keep saying this about Rwanda. Rwanda is just a bunch of killers, you know. Not only that, they killed each other, now they are killing opponents. Now, you see, that when you get lost in that story, there is no outside blame. The outside blame disappears. Even the UN that was here that did nothing to stop genocide, or the whole world that watched and did nothing about genocide, ends up being absolved. It's now Rwanda. It's Rwanda, the victims, the perpetrators, they change positions. It's the outside world. Well, even journalists who were busy actually orchestrating genocide and supporting genociders, and they are the ones now who are spinning this story like those ones. Yes, because of their interest, their association, the way they want to shape the story of Rwanda, the narrative of Rwanda, the way they want. You see? So you now, if you are weak, if Rwanda is weak, it's going to succumb to, you know, and even be apologetic, and or they shape it the way they want. They promote people, and you can see when they are saying, you know, these people like the Ingabire is like, you know somebody Ingabire, this small woman of a genocide, you know. But they want the whole world to believe that she's an opponent, she's... actually, they would wish that one to be the president of Rwanda. And she also believes it. Yes. So she believes it, and she's everywhere giving lectures and, you know. But this is, it's not Rwandan. This is not a Rwandan who believes this story. But the outsiders, these journalists, these ones who go to, what do they call it? Forbidden stories. It is forbidden to be talking about Ingabire. I'm actually sort of going to be blamed for it. You will see it. So, you young people who are in this kind of thing, because influencers are, you hold opinion. You hold opinions for a reason. You are part of the social political fabric of this country. So if you don't grasp that easily, I'm sure maybe, you know, among you or somewhere else, there are people who are operating the opposite of how you are doing it. Yes, so they must be having a reason, either of their own or being used by others. So constantly, we've got to be aware, we have got to be, but we've also got to have what we want for ourselves. And we should not be apologetic about it. You check any time, any day, I've never been apologetic for what RPF is doing, what Rwanda wants, what I am doing with these people who abuse, criticize, and even in high offices, they are somewhere outside in the world. They, you know, you meet somebody, they say, yeah, why in Rwanda, why you are doing this? You say, what? You say, what evidence do you have? They said, but so and so said this. They are talking about one of the influencers somewhere out there whom they are at the same time using, and then they are quoting that one as evidence. I mean, so this is a world you must really try and learn to be sophisticated, at least in understanding the nuances of these things and the world we live in.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Maybe a question from the front. Naomi.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Amazina nitwa Nishimwe Naomi, and I'm one of the content creators here in Rwanda.
I think I've also seen you many times.
Yes, I'm so happy to be sitting right in front of you and next to the First Lady. My question is, what tubwira tuzabimbwa ubwo tuzabinari?
It goes.
And some of us here are making a living through social media. Ni gute twabinare mu gihe twamenye gusa amahoro n'iterambere mu gihugu cyacu? What are the steps? Thank you.
Good. First of all, it is to know the story. No kumenya, ugomba kumenya nibyo wasanze ari byiza, muracyari bato nyine bimwe mugenda mubyumva, ariko mukwiriye kubyumva, mukwiriye no kubimenya, mukamenya ngo ibi byiza ntabwo ari uko byari bimeze imyaka 30 ishize. then the question is byagenze gute kugira ngo tube dufite ibi byiza. Immediately also what kicks in kiza noneho mu mutwe wawe ni ukuvuga ngo ariko ko dufite aya mateka asatya kandi tukaba dufite ibi byiza bimeze gutya, ariya mateka mabi yazagaruka. So noneho igikurikiraho ni ukurinda ibyo byiza ufite. Kubirinda gute rero? Hari uburyo bwinshi. Kubirinda even by shaping the opinion, facts, evidence and explanation. Hari kuvuga ngo ikintu ni cyiza, umbajije uti ni kuki ari cyiza, nabikubwira. I will give you evidence, I will give you a fact, I will give you why I believe ngo iki kintu ni cyiza. So mu byo mukora rero nyine naho ngaho, iyo byageze ahandi, iyo noneho nanone usubira mu mateka ukareba mu mateka, turn pages ukareba. Ntabwo ibyiza byikora, ntabwo ibyiza biva muri opinion gusa ngo no mu opinion hari intambara nabyo. Buri munsi you wake up ready for a fight of some kind, right? Yes. Numvuga nabi, niyo waba utavuze igihugu nabi, numvuga nabi turahangana. Ndakubaza impamvu mvuga nabi kandi ugiye numva. Izindi ntambara zibaho ni izisanzwe, iz'amasasu noneho zirimo no kubura ubuzima. Ibyo nabyo ntawe ubihejwemo. Ibyo nabyo hari ababyitabira so nibyo rero cyambere ariko byose bihera ku mutima wawe n'ubwenge bwawe n'ukuntu utekereza na precisely nka bya ntimuzabimbwa muzabe ntari. Ni ukuvuga ngo kubimbwa ni ukubaho utagira opinion, utagira umuntu yagutuka uti amusore akaba ari we apologizing. No, should be the one to apologize, not me. So kuba intare bivuga ari ni uguhangana n'ikibazo cyaba icyawe ku giti cyawe, cyaba icy'umuryango wawe, cyaba icy'igihugu, ukakigira icyawe. You want to nibura gutanga umusanzu mu kuyikemura.
Mwakoze cyane, Your Excellency. Turafata the bonus question mwaduhaye. Byuka vuba. Yes.
Murakoze. Nitwa Kwizera Josue, nkaba ndi umunyeshuri muri UR, ariko nanone nkankoresha social media ku izina rya Byuka vuba cyasabura cyaryamye. Mu kiganiro cyabahuje n'abanyamakuru muri
Byuka vuba, I think, cyangwa uracyaryamye.
Yego.
I think I've seen it. I have followed that.
Thank you,
yes.
Mr. President.
Ni wowe rero.
Yego.
I didn't know.
Mu kiganiro cyabahuje n'abanyamakuru mwaka ushize muri 2023.
Abanza no ku ifoto yawe iri ku ntuzukoresha, ntabwo ari yawe bwa.
Yego.
Hariho undi muntu.
Yego, nyakubahwa Perezida.
Nibyo?
Yego.
Oh, then I have followed.
Thank you. Umunyamakuru wa TV1 KNC yabajije niba abanyarwanda dukeneye kwitegura igihe twaba duteye bitewe n'amagambo ari guturuka hanze, aho uravuga ko ashaka kuzatera u Rwanda. Nyakubahwa Chairman, mwamusubije mubwira ko dukwiriye kuryama tugasinzira, tukongera tugasinzira nta kibazo dufite. Mu kumusubiza twebwe twaragiye nyine nta kibazo dufite, turaryama tugasinzira. Ariko nifuza kubaza urubyiruko rushaka gukomeza kuryama ariko rukaryama hari icyo ruryamanye, ku buryo igihe telefone yazasonera utazakenera undi muntu ubigisha gukotana. Mwaba muruteganyiriza iki? Murakoze cyane.
Byarateganyije, byararangiye. kuvuga gutyo ngo uryame usinzire ni ukutabiha umwanya urenze uwo bikwiye ariko naho ubundi uko igihugu cyacu gikora hari abakirinda ku buryo bw'umwuga bw'umwihariko umutekano warwo birakora kandi ntabwo ari aba bantu bambaye iriya myenda gusa ijyanye n'umurimo bakora buriya ibikorwa bishingira no mu baturage bakorana n'abaturage hose ku buryo noneho no mu buryo bundi ari ubw'ibiza ari ubw'icyabaye aha ari impanuka yabaye aha hari uburyo ari ubugezweho ari ubusanzwe ari wa mutima navugaga abagomba kubimenya ako kanya barabimenya bakaba bazi ngo aha habaye impanuka aha habaye iki nimutabare nimugire muti urumva rero ko bitasigara inyuma no mu buryo noneho bwo guhangana n'abaturuka hanze bashaka guhungabanya umutekano wacu abantu ni ukuryama ariko kandi nyine musigaye mufite na za telefoni rero hazaho ka aramu kakubwira ngo hari uburyo bwinshi butandukanye aho abantu bagomba kubimenya noneho hari n'ubundi buryo bugomba gutegura abo ngabo bagomba kugira icyo bakora bashoboye aho ariho hose ariko the message iriya muryame musinzire wazi guhumuriza abantu but at the same time bivuze ngo niyo ubwo harimo noneho hari uwavuze iby'intare n'iyi intare mwari mwayibona ariko uzayirebe uhora usanga isa n'isinziriye ariko burya ntisinziriye niyo ukandagiye gusa ukumva irabyuka ariko ikindi gihe iba isinziriye kuruhuka kuryama rero mugasinzira n'ubundi mukwiriye kugira ihumure mukaryama mugasinzira ariko muri mwe iyo akantu gakomye urakanguka sibyo naho ibi bindi rero bisakuza biriya rwose nabo kandi barabizi ni ukuvuga gusa kuko abashaka mujya mu makuru mugasubizanya baratukana bagashaka ko basubiza nawe ukandura nkabo barabihorera ariko iyo byarenze umurongo barabizi ikibabaho.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the inspiring words. I believe that this place and the tour that we did was very inspirational for us. Maybe we will not fight the same kind of fights that you did 30 years ago, but we have a very important fight to do as well, which is information online and using social media for the right reasons. So thank you very much, Your Excellency, and good luck on the campaign today.
Thank you. Actually, you are lucky. You have the information fight available for you, but you can even join the other ones. So for you, you have for me, it was only one option. That was just the information one I didn't have. But for you, you are lucky. But just know that the possibilities are limitless. That's the most important thing. And this is your country, it is yourselves, it's there shouldn't be anything that should deprive you what you want to have or want to be or want to. Just it starts from within you. Just don't accept nonsense. Yes.
We will not.
Yes. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your Excellency.
Yeah. So, can you organize? I will have pictures.